Beautiful, beautiful, amazing carols right there. Oh, Torrent Wells. He has a voice, a very beautiful voice.
Very unique voice.
Very unique voice. And you know, in my head, I was thinking just how these musicians who are so talented, like just using that for God's glory. Like it's so beautiful. Because people tend to think, oh, gospel artist, hawananga sauti poa kama hao wengine. But
you're making a joyful noise.
Torrent? It's beautiful.
And you're telling me that also in another world, you would have been a musician.
I didn't see you bringing that.
So what are you waiting for? Your dream can become a reality.
I sing so well in the house. Like, that's what I think, though.
But Prince is telling you, has warned you. But don't listen to Prince. All I can tell you, visit Samomura, Hope Recording Studios.
Hope Recording Studios. I will consider that. I actually will consider that. Because you know, in that room, I'll be alone.
Yeah, exactly.
So technically...
Yes. Na pesa isikushtue. Tutatafuta hapa.
Studio hapa kule hapa. You as my co-host, you know, there are things...
Small money.
Small matters.
Okay.
My voice somewhere. So, you got to patronize me in that direction.
All right.
Well, okay, we've come to the newspaper review. This is where we just tell you what's happening on the Standards, the Nation Daily, and also as well on the Business Daily, so that we can just get to have a look at what is happening in our country. So we're just going to be doing the highlights, but of course you can get the gazettes. Is it gazettes or magazines? I think it's gazettes. Newspapers,
Magazeti.
You can, magazine. All right, okay. You can get the newspapers and you can get to know what is happening. So should I start off with the Standard? Should I raise the Standard first for the Nation?
Yeah. Go ahead.
Okay, cool. All right, let us begin with something really interesting. Yesterday, my mom called me and she was like, oh, you're not asking where your sister has gone. I was like, oh, I thought it's this week. I didn't think it's already done. But yes, there is that happening. Scramble for Kenya's dream high schools. And my sister, she also had her dream school, which was Kenya High, actually, in Nairobi. So yes, children definitely had dreams, but we see a very big turn. We see data on Form 1 selection shows Kabianga, Nanyuki, and Pangani girls are the most preferred secondary schools, but with limited space in best schools, most candidates have had their dreams shattered. So that is Pangani. That was also one of the areas my sister wanted to go. But I have a cousin who is actually in one of in Pangani at the moment. So that is on pages 6 and 7. You can go through that, and so that even when your child is feeling a little bit depressed, you can encourage them that it's not just them. We have a lot of children who have had their dreams shattered, even those who performed pretty well in the examinations. And looking at page 2, what made it to the page 2? I see delicate balance between labor crisis in the north, oversupply in the north. So Africa alone has more than enough people needed to solve the labor gap in Europe, but the politics of the whole thing is not easy. And Germany Deputy Ambassador to Kenya says his country is grappling with nearly 2 million unfulfilled vacancies. A story you can find on page 2. And when we go to page 4, I see we have Al Asal counties have recovered from drought. New report shows quite good news right there. And I also see Ruto upstages neighbors with historic Europe bloc deal on trade, a story that you can find on page 4. And I also see that 545 billion is actually the value of trade in 2022 between Kenya and EU. On page 5, anti-graft fight, ailing economy dominates, Ruto talk with media. We had that conversation. I think you mentioned that yesterday. The president said digitizing government services is a crucial tool in the fight against corruption. I also see Ruto described Aral and Kimwarel Dams scandal case as a fraud orchestrated to settle political scores. And 60 million is the amount of money collected daily from e-services platform after government services were digitized. So quite a lot of revenue being made from that. I see nobody will be prosecuted for political reasons or for not aligning with a particular political persuasion. That is on page 7. And I see that's on page 5. Page 6, we have scramble for Kenya's dream national schools, the story that we mentioned earlier. We see that Mashogu says Form 1 learners will report to their respective schools beginning January the 15th. So maybe for parents, that's information to begin just preparing for ICCS warns schools heads against inflating school fees for new students. That's another thing. I think we have such cases sometimes whereby now they want to pandisha school fees because their demand is very, very high. And we are seeing most preferred national schools by 2023 KCPE candidates. And probably one of these you're going to hear moja ambao labda mtoto wako pia alitaka kuenda isi Kabianga High School na Nyuki High School. We have Pangani Girls, we have Kapsabet Boys, Alliance Girls High School, Maseno School, Nakuru High School, Butere Girls High School, Mangu High, and number 10, Alliance High School. All right. But also, we see in page 7 that stars in KCPE exams to join Dream Schools. We see Immaculate Washeke from Gilgil Hill Academy, who scored 420 marks, will actually be joining Alliance Girls High School. We see Clifford Alusiola Kataka of First Beth Academy, Kakamega, will also be joining Alliance Boys High School. All right, so you can look at that story on page 6 and 7 just to see what is happening on that particular story. And I also see LSK concerned over Ruto threat on housing levy. Quite a conversation that has brought about tumbojoto. Tumbojoto ziko kila mahali kuhusiana na the housing levy. The society reminded Ruto to uphold the rule of law and remain vigilant. LSK and Omtata are among petitioners who have filed cases challenging housing levy. You can look at that story in more detail on page 8 of the Standard. And Harvey's arrest at the height of BBI cases to cost state 5 million shillings. Interesting. Harvey said officers from DCI stormed his office and whisked him away in the full glare of the court. Says arrest was related to the termination of Wambua's employment contract, a story that you can find on page 10. I also see a very sad story here, tragedy. 1 killed, 3 injured as KFS locals in fight over grazing land. We still have those fights going on. And something with the Christmas cheer I see on page 11 here. Early Christmas for Bomet family as Berur FM fans build new home. Beautiful. Jane said it took the effort of their firstborn son, who is an ardent listener of the radio station, and also besides Standard Group, Bomet-based retailer Kipchimat Supermarket helped the family with food items. This is something good. Christmas has definitely come early for that beautiful Bomet family. And when I look at the back page, which is the sports, I see Italian Amos crowned classic rally champion. Beautiful, beautiful story right there on the last page, that is on page 32 of the Standard. I also see Copenhagen, you are next on the firing line. Champions Man City face Danish side as Barca play Napoli. Champions League round of 16 draw was held yesterday. And I see Simone Inzaghi, the Inter coach, says that Atletico have played 2 finals in the last 10 years and have a great history in this competition. Our club is no different, and we want to try to dream again to give our fans further joy. A story that you can find in page 30. And also for those who want to see the draw in full, we have Kina Arsenal, Barcelona, Real, Atletico, all that. You can also look at that and what happened. That is on page 31 of the Standard. All right, that's it for the Standard.
Right, checking what's being reported in the nation still matters to do with the Form 1 placement and the release yesterday. So Kenya's most sought after high schools, that is the headline, and full transition, that's according to CS Mashogu. All the 1.4 million Standard 8 candidates have been placed in public secondary schools, with the top performers getting their institutions of choice, even as Form 1 selection reveals the most popular schools among pupils and parents this year. And it's a story that you can read on page 6 and 7. And I'm there, and there are actually also some students placed in schools that do not match their grades. So some students who scored over 400 marks in the KCPE exams have missed slots in national schools and will instead be placed in public sub-county secondary schools. You can read that on page 7. And Pangani, Kabianga are the most sought after schools. A majority of boys and girls who sat the KCPE examinations apply to join the 2 giant national schools. I also see top candidates in KCPE exams get schools of choice. Don't dare increase fees. Machogu warns school heads.
Yeah.
So he's warning them against increasing the school fees come next year.
Yeah.
I also see Murkomen urging caution on roads this festive season. Motorists have been asked to exercise caution during the festive season so as to minimize road carnage. Transport Cabinet Secretary Kipchumba Murkomen cited drink driving, speeding, failure to use belts and helmets, as well as unsafe road crossings by pedestrians as major contributors to accidents. Read that story on page 8. This is also some good news for Kenya, because Kenya woos region as it inches closer to EU deal. Kenya wooed the support of its East African community as it inched closer to sealing an agreement with the European Union that will grant its export duty-free status and unlimited access to the 27-member market bloc. That very interesting and good story you can read on page 10 inside the Daily Nation. I also see on page 4, auditor says unable to verify purchases of telecom shares. Treasury bought shares from Jamhuri Holdings and 2 regional development banks, but now the Auditor General Nancy Gathongo has said her office was denied access to transaction records for the 12.5 billion shillings purchase of Telecom Kenya shares, raising questions on the legitimacy of the deals conducted in the last financial year. Read that extensively on page 4. You remember Central Bank also increasing the interest rates and the lending rates, and now the banks have followed suit and implemented the same directive from the CBK as banks now increase loan rates after signal from the central bank. And so Kenyan banks have started increasing the cost of their shilling-denominated loans in the wake of the CBK's decision to raise its benchmark lending rate to an 11-year high. Now, NCBA Bank has increased its base lending rate to 16.5% from 14.5%. So it's a 2.0% increment. It becomes the second lender to make such an announcement after Equity Bank, whose interest rate will now rise to 17.56% from 14.69%. So that will be affecting so many who will be taking loans, or even those who are servicing their loans. You can read that on page 4. I go to the back page, and bill on MP's post-retirement medical scheme rejected. SRC writes to Parliament saying proposed law infringes on its constitutional mandate. So it has rejected a proposed law that seeks to establish a post-retirement medical scheme for members of Parliament to be administered by the Parliamentary Service Commission, saying it is unconstitutional. Back page of the Nation. Then I see Kenyatta condemns DRC alliance recently announced in Nairobi. That is former President Uhuru Kenyatta denouncing the Congo River Alliance declaration that is being pushed by Congolese opposition figure Corneille Nangaa on the back page of the Nation. Sports page. Lifting of suspension offers hope, but Harambee Stars blow hot and cold in a roller coaster year. So we can read extensively what happened with Kenyan football. Man City play Copenhagen in last 16th stage. Porto await Arsenal. That you can read on page 35. And also KPA, one match away from glory in Egypt. They play champions Sporting Club Alexandria of Egypt in today's final from 6 p.m. That is in the Daily Nation. And front page of the Business Daily, Mastermind lays off 1,000 after bank takeover. Farm owned by estates of late tycoon Wilfred Murungi. The cigarette manufacturer also battling KRA tax claims. It's on the front page. Auditor barred from 12.5 billion shillings spent on Telcom Bank shares. Also, you can read that on the front page of the Business Daily.
Beautiful. Thank you for taking us through that as well. So you can get your papers and get to know what is happening in these stories. But I think my prayer is with the Form 1s who will be now joining the Form 1, because I think this can be just a little bit depressing, especially for the children when they performed well, but then they don't get a spot in the schools that they wanted. And not every parent is going to run around looking for schools, and we don't even know what's going to happen. personally, our family has been affected by that, because obviously my sister can't go where she wanted to go somewhere else, but now we find that things came out the opposite, like it was nowhere in her list completely, and it's really unfortunate because she did perform well. But yeah, we really pray that you know, and also to understand that sometimes these things can't really be changed. At some point we have to accept some of these things, and to know that this is just a platform whereby now God will be taking you to the next level. Amen. And God will use whatever school you're taken to help you reach your destiny. So again, we need not concentrate so much. It also depends on the commitment of this child. Hata akienda shuleni anaweza enda shule iko chini chini, lakini aende kwa shine. So we can also look at it from a different angle. So I think we can have the
video of the day. Yes, and it's time for the video of the day as we continue with Hope at Dawn right here at Hope TV.